In today's video, we will take a look at the walt.id issue API to issue an mDL mdoc credential into our wallet. For the wallet, we will be using the walt.id web wallet, which you can see right here. Now, in order to issue an mdoc credential, we need to include for the issuer of the mDL an X509 certificate. And how you get that X509 certificate or onboard in that sense as an issuer depends strongly on the ecosystem in which you're operating. As the X509 certificate for the issuer, so the document signer, which we will then include here in the issuance request, must be signed by a so-called issuing authority certification organization. And what we will do for this video is that we self-issue ourselves, first of all, an issuing authority certification, and then we will onboard ourselves as a document signer, creating another X509 certificate that is then signed by our self-signed issuing authority certificate. Now, maybe you already have been issued by an issuing authority certification authority, an X509 certificate to be a document signer, and so you already have that and therefore can just go ahead right with the issuance request, and so you also can jump ahead in the video. But let's now start by creating self-signing ourselves an X509 root certificate, which we can then use to issue ourselves another X509 certificate to become a document signer. Now here in the body of this IACA onboard endpoint, we can provide information about the certificate data that should be included. I will just leave the example data here. And what will be returned is, first of all, in the background, we are generating a SecP256R1 key. And then this key will self-sign this X509 certificate, which will be returned here. Now, when we later would do a verification, we would also need this root certificate. Now, as a next step, what we will need to do is now become a document signer and therefore issue ourselves an X509 certificate that is trusted and signed therefore by this party, which we just initialized. So we will need, first of all, the private key material of this party, which we will then provide here in the document signers endpoint as here the key. So I will replace this information with the information I just got. Then the certificate data, so the data which is in this root certificate, which we provided here in the beginning when we initialized this party, the certificate, and it's also provided here in the response, so we can copy it out from here if we need it. I already have it, so I can just leave it here as is. And then there is the certificate data that should now go into the new X509 certificate that we are about to issue, which is the X509 certificate for the document signer. And so we execute this and we will get back, first of all, another private key set. This time it's the private key now that owns this certificate right here. So the document signer certificate, which was signed by the issuing authority using their private key, which we got in the response. And now we have our document signer, our private key, which we will be then using in the next step to issue the credential and sign in the credential data with. And we also get the certificate, so the X509 certificate of this document signer, which we will then also need to provide in the issuance request. Now, let me copy here this X509 certificate and let's go to the mdoc/issue endpoint, where we provide here for the X5 chain value in this array our certificate we just created. And then for the issuer key value, I will go here and copy out this key information So the private key of the document signer, I will provide it here. And then we have our credential configuration ID, which refers to the mDL. And then we have the actual mdoc data. And in the mdoc data, we have here the mDL namespace, where we then have the different attributes of the mDL. Now, these attributes here are the required attributes of an mDL, and there are also many more optional attributes that you could be providing. And here you can also refer to the standard and provide these here where required. I will just leave it here using the required fields only. When we execute this, we get an OID4VCI offer URL. This we can now either show as a QR code or provide as a direct link to a wallet. And then the wallet can either be able to scan the QR code and then transfer back the offer URL from the QR code, or extract the offer URL from the QR code, or we just provide it here. We see we are offered an mDL, we accept it, and here we now have the mDL in our wallet. I will also link in the description a link to the written version of what we just did in our documentation, so you can check that out. I will also link the Issuer API we used, as well as the web wallet. And please leave us a star on GitHub if you enjoy our tools. With that, happy building and see you next time.